Hello, everyone. Okay, so we just gathered up people to talk with the Loporits. Moonbrita's parents finally got to speak with Arianje after so long. Oh, Miro. Be assured that I am fine. I am. Full glad to see them too, after so very long. Gladder still that it was in your company. As difficult as it was to accept their kindness, would have been far harder had I faced them alone. Okay, get new shoes. Apparently I still have Ravana's forewing. Okay. Get new gloves from this. Thou hast my gratitude for lending courage to the Loporits. Not disposed to rest on their laurels, several of our guests have elected to accompany my countrymen to their stations. Some few may still come hither seeking counsel, and so shall I remain to aid them as need be. If thou art needed elsewhere, do not let me detain thee. As a matter of fact, I was hoping you might check on Alice. Last I saw, she was struggling to carry an enormous pile of boxes out the west gate. I could go myself, but we both know whose help she's less to scorn. Not to mention that, much to my misfortune, I can think of several other things I ought to be doing. Until later. So, Thancred literally just said, hey, Alice needs help picking boxes. I can think of many things I'd rather be doing than helping someone. See ya. And then just fucked off. He didn't even try to hide that he was going to be useless. Squeal, squeal. Mira, what are you doing out here? No, I don't mind if you help with the boxes, but it's far from the most exciting of tasks, are you sure? Well, I appreciate the assistance. We need to get these to Aporia. And time is short, of course, but they're full of organic specimens and samples, so try not to be too rough with them. Alphino should be waiting for us when we arrive. I'll see you there. Alright, I gotta take the crate of samples. Perfect. I can't even sprint. I have 3 minutes. I have a question. Why are there fates down here? Oh, hey there, Holder. You look like a boss from another dungeon. Oh, ah. Fuck off, Santaranella. You can't catch. No, I said fuck off. I didn't say hit me. Hey, Faye! Welcome, welcome! So I know you had limited time yesterday and you stopped in and said hello. I appreciate that. So I am curious, how was your weekend and subsequently the week I had off? I didn't get to see either. And also, how's that class prep been going? Have you been able to get everything up and going all right? Oh, you're helping with the crates. Wonderful. You can put that there with the others. Bud. You have my gratitude, but how did you come to be involved in this? Huh, I suppose I have Thancred to thank as well. If you're wondering why we were tasked with bringing these boxes to Aporia to begin with, so was I. It turns out this is the base of operations of sorts. Those with final say as to what is included in the ship's manifest can be found here. Father included, I suspect. That should be everything. carried all of that at once? Are you trying to injure yourself? Oh hush, delighted in their look, and not everyone has your delicate arms. I suppose we should let someone know that we've finished. Theopoldin is in the courtyard. We can report to him. Why don't you come along? You should get credit for your assistance at least, considering we were at where we are. We might as well learn something interesting. I've been slowly gearing up thanks to this area, but these quests aren't as exciting as yesterday's. What if Thancred appeared out of nowhere and suplexed Alphino? I'd be surprised he became a wrestler. Alice just said Alphino had small bitch arms. She did. She did indeed. Okay, you don't need to tell me that much about fucking Chocobo porters. That shouldn't even be an option at this point in the game. Why is that on there? Gods, it never ends, does it? Huh? Oh, what can I do for you? We bought samples from the Charlene Hamlet. Series 110? The crates are by the entrance. Ah, thank you. I had expected one of my colleagues, but we are dreadfully short-handed. Just a moment. You are fortunate children, are you not? Alphino and Alice, at your service. You're well acquainted with Father, I take it? Quite. I've been friends with your parents since our days at the studio. I remember when you were yay high, waddling hither and thither. Clearly, it's been some time since we met. It's good to see you again, wielding your father's newless, no less. You knew our parents when they were young. What were they like? Pray, spare no detail. I should like nothing more than regale you. Alas, I am meant to be in charge here, and dreams of paperwork wants for submission. We can help with that in exchange for the sort of stories our parents would never willingly divulge, of course. Very well then. There happen to be 3 sets of documents that need a delivery. How about each of you take one? I don't know, I get roped into this. I don't care about stories of Portiono being a horny teenager. Wait right here. Going pretty good, Faye. You will find a forum representative waiting to collect those near the southernmost structure. I hope I haven't kept her waiting too long. Never mind Alphino and Alice. I'm sure they will be back soon enough. At least the music here is good. At least I got a lunar whale. Are you not one of those signs that said it done? I thought you were meant to be working on the ether burner. Theopoldin's paperwork? I was beginning to worry he had misplaced the quill. I appreciate your help in seeing these documents to my hands. As for your other task, pray keep this between us, but I sincerely hope you sign and succeed. The Exodus is without a doubt the most monumental undertaking in the history of the Forum, and so we must be circumspect in all respects. Risk is a privilege we cannot afford ourselves. At its heart, however, Charlene has ever been a nation of the curious. It would be a tragedy indeed if we were the ones to stymie your pursuit of the truth. That woman just ghosted into the wall. I'll have to edit that so it says stories. Hang on. Oh, it's a hate. There you go. Quit guinea fishing. I dare say you have a talent for this work. The twins' papers only need to be delivered to elsewhere in the facility, so they should be returning at any moment. We're getting world building in Fae right so lots of stories and busy work at the moment. We return with not a scrap of paperwork remaining on our persons, you will note. You both have my thanks and my apologies for sending you on an errand. Far below your ambitions. Why, even as a babe, you struggled out of your swaddling clothes and... That is quite enough of that, thank you. It was compromising stories of our parents that we'd asked to hear, to reiterate. This man has a blue tooth. I guess purple tooth. Of course. I've known your father for so long. I must have something. Well, as you know, part of the why the Levere name garners such respect in Charlene is your family's storied history. You two can trace your ancestry directly to those who came aboard the Njunkrep's Hope, a lineage few can claim. I've never thought much about it myself. It's not as though our forebears founded our nation. They were simply there when it happened. Nevertheless, it has traditionally been a point of pride. His wine Njunkrep's pronouncement, renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason has ever been our family's creed. Until your grandfather's time, aye. Archon Louisois looked not to Njunkrep's word, but to his deeds. He asserted that in defiance of his peers that choosing to save the great and the small from the rising tides was the true mark of our founder's virtue. Perhaps in his expertise, his knowledge of ancient prophecy and the fall of civilizations that led him to conclude that to eschew conflict at every turn was to consign mankind to his doom. There will ever be conflict and calamity will follow, thus, to ignore the plight of those one might conceivably save is not wisdom, it is indolence. You remember his words well, indeed. Archon Louisois lived by that personal creed, and used every means at his disposal to bring succor to those in need, Charlene or no. No one loved and admired your grandfather more than his son. Yet Fortunato could not reconcile Louisois' deeds with the philosophy of their forebears and his peers, a philosophy in which he believed so fervently, yet made a pariah of his father. Fortunato agonized over the contradiction for much of his life. God's father. A son may carry his father's blood, but his choices are his own to bear. Is it not always thus? God knows Fortunato's a cranky old goat, so I'm sure you butt heads often enough. But yet even so, you must know that you are constantly in his thoughts, every moment of every day, and that is not an exaggeration in the slightest. You should have seen him when you were born. Barely recognizable he was, with a kind of dumbfounded grin I'd not seen since he first took a fancy to your mother. He was practically skipping when he told me the news. Take my word for it, he loves you to an embarrassing degree. But he is also frustratingly single-minded. Once he's decided to give a given action is for the best, he will stay the course no matter who or what opposes him. A profoundly annoying habit when you are on the other end of it, as I'm sure you will agree. I'll say, thank you for your insight. When next we meet our parents, I shall mention that we spoke. Try not to get me in too much trouble now. I need the form on my side. Speaking of which, I ought to be getting back to work. I have to make sure those specimens you brought make it back to their proper places, or the cranky old goat will have my hide. We can speak again later. Hither in yards. Hail, you three! Graha! Surely Kokos hasn't driven you out of the forge already? For better or for worse, no. He has set me a task that requires more than my single pair of hands, and here you are. I could use at least one of you, and I won't object to more. Unfortunately, Alice and I have prior commitments, and we've delayed too long as it is. What about you, Miro? Can you spare the time? Perfect, this shouldn't take long. Alice and Alphino have no prior commitments. They just toss the work onto me because they're fucking assholes. Okay, 545. Okay, they are better. Oh, I don't know wise. Not necessarily game wise. Mini Cat, what are you doing? There. The ensemble is complete. Actually, no, it's not. We still need a headgear. But we got the slime hat, so. In the event that Our, and I quote, promised heap of adamantite falls right out of the bloody sky and into my lap. Master Coco wishes to be ready for the proverbial hammer anvil to fall at moment's notice. To fabricate these parts, however, he needs the flames of Coco's forge to burn hotter. He sent me to increase the amount of ether being funneled to his furnaces. The flow of fire aspect of ether in Labyrinthos is regulated by an elemental reactor set up here, to which I have borrowed the key. The adjustment will require 2 people to carry out safely, but I can explain the process when we arrive. This is where we part then. We'll see you in Charlie and Hamlet once the adamantite arrives, if not before. Ah, you guys got defeated by Demise. This way then. Alphina's prior commitments are be a small bitch. I mean, yeah, basically. That's what they amounted to. Well, at least we get to see more of Charlie than we've seen. I'm gonna fucking fight. The reactor is housed within this facility. I'll be the one to go inside and adjust the fire ether output. When I do, a rather large amount of water aspected ether will issue from the vent at the top. I expect this to attract at least a few elementals, which we would both rather not be drawn into the reactor itself, trust me. Can I ask you to put down any that draw too near? They'll pose you little trouble, I'm sure. Sure. Also give me a chance to show you guys the level 90 abilities I have. Wait here if you would. Okay. Check this out. Alright, so we got a swirling apple. We're gonna summon Ifrit. Check it out. Watch, watch, watch. We actually summoned Ifrit. Not just an edgy, but Ifrit himself. Oh, now we got these two. Let's summon Titan. Yeah, our character finally, after all this time, learned how to summon the full primals instead of just an approximation of said primals. Did everything go smoothly out here? I thought as much. No major complications to speak of inside either. And the water ether appears to be venting properly. I expect Coco will have seen a difference in his forge flames by the time I return. Since I have you, there was another matter I thought to discuss with you. Nothing terribly important, merely something I've been considering. Part of this I shared with everyone, yet you and only you have been to Elpis. As we have established, refined adamantite is a product of Alleg, of the Empire's twilight years in fact. It was a material which saw much use as part of Allegan's efforts to extend beyond the bounds of this world. Dalamud, of course, being the most prominent. Of those who would push further, expand Alleg's empire to encompass the heavens and stars above, perhaps the greatest was its infamous technologist, Aemon. Aemon wanted to travel to the Sea of Stars? Did he remember his life as Hermes? I believe he had his own reasons. There is no evidence to suggest that he retained memories of his former life. He only joined the Ascians once the Empire was all but dust, as you know. If not his memory, though, what drove him to pursue the idea with such fervor? This may seem far-fetched, but what if souls, like minds, have a personality, so to speak, a natural disposition towards which they are inclined? We know that relative certainty that it was the gross decadence and inexorable decline of Alec that moved Aemon to resurrect Emperor Zand. The Empire's people spoke lightly of death and destruction, experimenting on those they deemed beneath them to fill the emptiness in their hearts. In facilitating Zand's return, Aemon provided these languid souls with the means to free themselves from the mire of their own indolence. Or would have, had Zand been convinced by his own death that life itself was meaningless. Aemon's desire for his countrymen to conquer the heavens could only be a means to the same end, to instill the people with new purpose. Like Hermes before him, Aemon was appalled by how those around him lived, but could never bring himself to believe that those lives were devoid of meaning. And both of them sought meaning, that hope, in the distant stars. Such is my theory, anyway. Ultimately, it is the consequences of their actions which matter. Their motives are of no moment, and yet, to reach those stars on wings of adamantite, to travel to the ends of creation and beyond, to promise of hope everlasting, that much I do understand. But enough musings for now. Why don't we see how Kokol is getting on? So, guys, actually, something I wanted to discuss with you now that Graha brought up that Aemon and Hermes are the same soul. So when Hydaelyn sundered the planet, she split all the people on it into 1/14 of their soul, essentially. And that included many of the Ascians, with only Elidibus, La Habrea, and then Selk escaping it somehow. Well, Hermes was split. He became Fandaniel, and he eventually was reborn as Aemon in the Allegan Empire. It's a fan theory that's been all but confirmed as far as I know, but Elpis is a testing ground for the ancients, where they create things and then test those creations, and then unmake them as see fit. However, Aemon in the Allegan Empire created what is called As Is Law, if you remember, a series of floating islands where they create chimeras and test them. So a lot of fans think that As Is Law was a dark reflection of Elpis that Aemon recreated from his memories of Elpis, even though he didn't directly remember them, more of a subconscious memory. It was a very cool fan theory. Now that you can actually summon primals, does that make you a walking, talking calamity? Not exactly, but yes. Ooh, I can feel those flames ablazing from here! Glad you found someone capable, Graha, but there's not much left for you lot to do, unless you can conjure up that refined adamantite any faster. Bonds of adamantite. Bonds of adamantite. Alright. I do trust you to deliver on your promise, I do, only... I hate waiting! I want the adamantite! I want it now! We, share your impatience, I assure you. Is there truly nothing else we can assist with in the meantime? I wish. This sitting about's unbearable. Pity the form frowns on recreational explosions. Well, so long as they can't prove it was premeditated. Get you gone, I have mistakes to make. In that case, I suppose I should go and return the key to the reactor. I'll have one more look about to make sure nothing has gone wrong, unintentionally, of course. I'm certain there are better uses for your time, however. I will join you in the Charlie and Hamlet anon. This man's gonna blow shit up and while he waits. I love it. I have mistakes to make. Right, Mira? Hi, Mini Cat. Kokol's great. If you wait here, your companions are bound to show up sooner or later. Yeah, just pick a random spot in the square and just like, you know what, let's wait here. I'll see them eventually. Or not. Turns out I just stuck waiting here while everyone's moved on to the next destination.
All set, I take it?
We finished what we could. Delivered supplies, tracked down escaped animals. Trivial tasks as they may be.
That's enough, don't you think? If there was anything more important still undone, that would be a problem in itself.
The vessel is essentially ready for departure. All that remains is to load the final batch of supplies and see everyone on board. Once we've readied the ether burner, that is.
Ah, had a feeling we might find you all here.
Our consultations with the Loporrits, too, have run their course. Pleased I am to say that our researchers' concerns have for the most part been allayed, though some insist on making adjustments to the very end. For their part, Livingway and her peers have graciously offered to stay and keep the people company, lest any lingering queries go unanswered.
All that remains is to wait for the refined adamantite.
Alphino, are you there? It's me, Cryle. Your special delivery has arrived. Round up everyone and come to the harbor at once.
Speak of the devil. Let us go at once.
Forgive the intrusion, Master Fortuner. I bring urgent news. A great commotion has broken out in Scholar's Harbor. Your presence is requested, with all speed.
Now, where might this delivery be? Oh.
I'm sure it's very important, but we cannot accept these without the proper permits.
By the 12! Surely, these can't all be...
Bleeding hellfire! They're bringing them by sea and by air. All these folks in these crates.
And more on the way. Got your adamantite right here. A bigger haul than any of these sorry bastards brought, and that's no lie.
Yes, because you were charged with seeing the shipments from Gridania and Uldar here, along with your own. Give credit where credit is due.
Sounds like the sorry whinging of a sore loser. An hypocrite to boot. Ain't no way a scrawny whelp like you took a dozen steps inside a Dalamon shard.
I'll have you know I went all the way to the entrance. I played a vital role in keeping a lookout whilst our expeditionary forces secured the adamantite.
Left you outside so you wouldn't get anyone killed, did they? Well then, credit where credit's due, you did a right fine job sitting on your ass.
Take that back.
Make me.
I will not stoop to your level.
My, what a grand welcome party.
Hancock and Soroban.
We come bearing relics both sacred and Allegan, as well as a few other gifts that may be of help, to be presented with best wishes from the Eastern Alliance.
I myself have come with a sacred relic of the Kojin. Upon learning of your need, Bunchin bade me deliver it on behalf of the Blue with all haste. Fearing I could not swim here with the necessary speed, however, I thought to beg our Confederate allies for aid. To my delight, Hancock was already preparing for departure at the self-same port, and had space for additional cargo.
We did, of course, need quite the impressive vessel to get it all here in time.
That is all wonderful to hear, but what of the extraordinary cost? I shudder to think of the ransom we must pay for such a bounty.
Fret not for your coin purse, young Alphino. Lord Lolorito looks ever towards the profits of the future, and thus the East Aldenard Trading Company went to some lengths to reduce the financial liability. And since the Scions funded the entire venture, not a gill need be rendered up in compensation. Everything is already yours.
We funded the venture? When?
Don't let the name fool you. This coin keeper knows a thing or two about spending. When it comes to capital investiture, a sprinkling of gil here and there will not do. You need enough savings to make waves when it really counts, which is why frugality is paramount. We also had the benefit of a generous patron. Generous being rather an understatement. She has supported us from the shadows since the very founding of the Scions. Ere we even had coffers to fill.
Mother!
Amelians.
I remain, of course, an entirely neutral party. I simply thought our family's coffers were needlessly full. We can hardly take them with us on your teeny-tiny toy boat, now can we? And would be ashamed to leave all that hard-earned wealth unspent. Waste not.
However did you manage so much in so short a time now? We expected word to reach only a fraction of our allies.
Did I not tell you I have my ways? Erenville! You were involved too!
I received a letter from Cryo after we parted ways in Labyrinthos. She explained what the Scions were trying to accomplish, and why you might soon require the services of the Gleaners, spread across the world as we are. I pray you do not interpret this as a betrayal of Charlian. I accept that the Forum's aim in pushing us to our limits was to preserve what knowledge we have, and I bear you no ill will for it. Yet, in collecting that knowledge, what I came to appreciate most about our star is that there remains so much we do not know. That is why I chose to help the Scions, to combat the obliteration of those countless, undiscovered wonders. I held no illusions that they would be less demanding taskmasters. Though, rest assured, if I had, I would have been sorely disappointed. To make a long story short, the whole of the guild ship cooperated to ensure your call was heard far and wide.
What's this about a ship that can fly to the moon? And why didn't you mention it sooner? The one time you don't beg my aid, your problem's a bloody ship that can fly to the moon.
Sid, you brought the team.
Of course. Garland Ironworks' finest. You need only point us towards my new favorite ship.
As you like us not suspect, we've also brought adamantite for Mordona's Dalamud Shard. I admit to some consternation upon first receiving Kryl's message. So few scions remain at the Rising Stones now. Far too few for such an expedition. However, the Gleaners were able to secure us reinforcements. Idleshire's treasure hunters, not least among them.
Fascinating as all this is, I fail to see how it explains your presence here. Does Razat Khan not have more pressing concerns?
We do. Yet averting the final days would be the most expedient solution. That, and I am indebted to you. Though they chose to take their leave of Thavnair, those you saved in Galimuld remain my people. My gratitude is beyond words. 'Tis appropriate that I aid you in kind. If in the doing we bring salvation to others of this star, so much the better. You will recall that I spoke of my father, Midgard Summer, and his journey across the great expanse. As he traveled betwixt the stars, his resplendent scales drank of the ether in those nigh empty surrounds, and imparted to him the strength to persevere. Thinking they might further your cause, I called out to my kin for consent. Ashdai's answer was silence, as ever. Tiamat and Chrisvelgre, however, responded favorably to the suggestion. My sire, too, gave his assent. Thus have I brought you his own worm scales. Fit them to your purpose, and seek a worthier fate for us all.
You'd be hard-pressed to find someone else so familiar with the unique properties of dragon scales. So I invited myself along.
Bugger me, this is so unbelievable. I've gone right back round to believing it again. Forget a 6% gain in efficiency. With all these goodies, we could get 7, no, 10, no, 14 bleeding percent. Think of how far we could go. What we could do with that much power. What we could blow up.
If Kokol is duly convinced, then it must be true. In which case, the Scion's end of the bargain has been fulfilled. Would you not agree?
Yes, Father?
I know not what you seek of Hydaelyn, nor for what purpose you would take command of our ship. Yet this much is certain. To do so will be to dictate the fate of this star and the lives upon it. The lives of each and every creature, in their magnitude and their fragility. Do you understand? And are you prepared?
We have seen and we have felt how much each life shapes this world. And so we are determined to abandon none. We understand what is at stake, and we are prepared to bear this burden.
Then I will bear it with you. I beg you, share your struggles with me, as family. You grasped my fingers with such tiny hands the day you were born. I thought my heart might burst. 'Twas love and happiness beyond expression. Overwhelming, and a conviction so powerful that I trembled with something close to rage. I had heard the final days foretold. I swore to myself then and there that I would not let them steal your futures. The great exodus would succeed, must succeed. No sacrifice or sin was worse than the alternative. If anything gave me pause, 'twas mine own father. The Archon Louisoix openly decried Charlian's policies, a perspective which I regarded with increasing disdain as I grew older. Yet even as part of me thought him a fool, perhaps I also hoped that he, of all people, would devise a brilliant means to save my children. A naive hope, but stubborn enough that I could never bring myself to keep you apart. No, that was his doing, when he perished at Carteneau. As we pulled that twisted slab of Dalamud from the sea, I remembered the warmth of your newborn touch. Chastened, I vowed never again to suffer any interference in my mission to protect you. No matter that you yourselves wished otherwise. Detest me, fight me tooth and nail, I would suffer it, and more, and be satisfied so long as I could force you onto the ship. I was wrong. You two have grown so much stronger and so much wiser than I dared dream. You have earned the right to walk your own path, and already begun to do so.
Good. Because there are things we care about, and people we love, and none of them is replaceable. Not a one.
It cannot have been an easy journey for you to have come so far.
We shall be glad to acquaint you with the finer details someday, once this danger has passed. All that we have seen and heard, that we have felt and learned in our travels. Ours is not a kind world, but it is beautiful. Always.
Oh no. Are you quite sure that's wise? After all, someone turns pale and flees the room when he sees so much as an envelope containing word of your adventures. Whatever will happen if he learns what you were really up to?
Millions. Though I have wronged my children most gravely, I owe you an apology as well. I assumed that it was the Scion's influence that made them so keen to charge headlong into danger. Yours, in particular. I see now that said influence instead brought them together with the many fine people gathered here today. In which case, I hope you continue to guide them.
If we've finished loitering about the harbor, might I suggest we put our plans into motion? People are beginning to look confused.
Perhaps you can spare a few words ere they resume the tedious lugging of cargo. You've no small number of friends and admirers here after all.
Lend us your strength. Our moment of triumph is close at hand with me.
Your assistance is appreciated. Now, in an orderly fashion, if you please.
Guys, we're going to take a quick break here after that long scene, but it was a good scene because we got to see everyone come together. It was great. But we'll be right back with more FF14.